tonight in Coryell County, where dozens of roads do remain closed and people have been forced to evacuate. This comes after several inches of rain fell early Sunday morning, causing devastating flooding. 6 News anchor Baylee Bates is live for us in Coryell County tonight. Baylee, show us what you're seeing out there.
Hey Chris, yeah, I am in Mound, and you can see here I'm about ankle deep here in this water. This road is closed right now. I am here with Coryell County Sheriff's Office, who has given me the okay to be here. If I go any further, it does get a little deeper, but I do want to point out that this water is receding, and that is good news for the people of Mound today. There was no evacuations on this street, but just one street over, there was 6 inches of water in someone's house. So know that this water was a lot higher than it is now. And I do want to add, we just found out in the last 5 minutes that the Coryell County Sheriff's Office had 5 swiftwater rescues between 12 a.m. and 11 a.m. on Sunday. So that was more than 24 hours ago. But one of those swiftwater rescues was straight down this road on this other side. And that is why the Coryell County Sheriff's Office and many first responders tell you not to test these waters. They are very powerful. And that's one thing that residents tell me today is the water here was just moving up so fast here on this road. And so that's the good news here, is that they are just waiting for all this to come down. We tried to get to this spot earlier today and we just couldn't, because there's so many road closures around Coryell County, and the Coryell County Sheriff's Office is monitoring those conditions. One of the biggest things that they tell you about floodwaters is watch out for fire ants. We've seen tons of fire ant mounds all over Coryell County today, especially where the river is kind of crossing these roads. Once again, this road is closed right now off of 107 in Mound, and we are here today to kind of bring you a visual of what's going on. But once again, this road is still closed. And the thing about these residents here in Mound, they are kind of worried because they're worried that the water further upstream, kind of coming from Lake Waco, coming from Hamilton, will eventually come here. And so they are on guard. They are kind of watching things, measuring this road to make sure water's not going to come up. And we know that the people north of Coryell County are also dealing with these same conditions. And that's where we find our very own 6 News reporter Mike Rogers. He's live from Lake Waco. Mike, what are you seeing there? I heard the lake is pretty high.
Yeah, Bailey, it is, and out of an abundance of caution, several of those roadways that would ordinarily lead you up to the banks and shores of the lake have actually been shut down to avoid any drivers going head-on into those increasing waterways. Now, take a look at your screen. This is a view from one of the bank shores near Lake Waco. You can see that water overflowing onto the sides, and the Assistant Emergency Management Coordinator says they've even warned campers about the increased flood risks so they can avoid their property being engulfed from the overflow from the lake as well. Tim Jeske with the Emergency Management Office says there was anywhere between 6 and 9 inches of rain in the Lake Waco area alone, and that prompted these road closures. Now, at this time, Jeske says the Army Corps of Engineers are working their flood plan as we speak and will determine when it will be safe to release those floodwaters from not only Lake Waco, but Lake Aquila and Lake Whitney to ensure that the downstream impacts are minimal.
A lot of roads closed, a lot of flooding in the floodplain itself. There was a few structures that we're aware of that were flooded. Those folks are doing okay. Everybody's accounted for. And so, now it's just a rebuilding period and watching the water and waiting for it to dry out a little bit so we can get things back to normal.
And the Emergency Operations Center was on their Level 3 plan Saturday when the floodwaters made their way down the river, and even sent out sheriff's deputies and game wardens to the potential impacted area to assist in any evacuations that would be needed. Now, Jeske says that the river is already starting to level off. Obviously, that water making its way into the lake and downstream, and they will be waiting on the Army Corps of Engineers to ultimately make the call on when any kind of other water can be released as to not impact any downstream communities. Just trying to keep everyone safe after all this rain, Chris.
All right, that was team coverage with Baylee Bates in Coryell County and Mike Rogers, whom you just heard from there in McLennan County. Thank you both. Meanwhile,